Welcome everyone. Have you ever felt that the rush of excitement when your phone buzzes with a new like or comments? You are not alone. In today's digital age, social media is not just a way to connect, it's rewiring our brain in profound ways. But what does that really mean for our mental health, our attention span, and how we perceive ourselves? So, join me as we dive into the fascinating world of neuroscience and explore the hidden effects of the social media on our minds. To begin, it is essential to understand the brain's remarkable adaptability. It's a continuously form of new connection based on our experiences and behavior. And social media taps into some of the most fundamental social and emotional instincts in a really powerful way. One of the key things researchers have found is that social media triggers the release of dopamine in our brain. Dopamine is often called the feel good neurotransmitter. It is associated with pleasure, reward, and motivation. So, every time we get a like, comment, or notification, we get a little hit of dopamine. It feels good, so we want more. And this dopamine effect is actually really similar to what happens with the addictive substance like cocaine, just on a small scale. That is part of why social media can feel so habit forming and compulsive for a lot of people. We start craving that next hit of validation and social connection. The anticipation of getting like or comments in a big part of it too. Our brain loves novelty and unpredictability, and it's part of what kept our ancestor alive back in the day, always being alert for the potential reward or threats. So, social media platforms are designed to be unpredictable, to keep us checking back frequently just in case there is something new. It's like a slot machine for social validation. But it's not just about the chasing good feeling. Social media also tap into our fear of missing out, that is called a FOMO, FOMO, and our desire to avoid negative emotions. We worry that if you are not constantly plugged in, we will miss the important update or fall out of the loop socially. And scrolling through our feeds can be a way to distract ourselves from uncomfortable thought or feeling. The constant barrage of the information and stimuli on the social media can actually change how our brain process attention and focus. Heavy social media users tend to have more trouble sustaining concentration on tasks and ignoring distraction. It's like our brain get used to constantly jumping from one thing to the next and making it harder to deeply engage with any one of things. This fragmented attention can even impact how we form and recall our memory. When we are continuously interrupting experiences to document them to social media, we may actually be less present in the moment and less able to form rich, detailed memory of what happened. Now, I don't want to make it sound like a social media is all about the bad thing. This platform can also provide really valuable social support, connection, and community, especially for people who might otherwise feel isolated. And there is evidence that the moderate social media use can have positive effects on well-being. It's all about finding a healthy balance. But one of the most concern is how social media affect adolescent brain in particular. These teenage years are the crucial time for brain development, especially when it comes to social, cognitive, and emotional processing. And these teens tend to be especially sensitive to social feedback and peer influences. So, a study have found that the getting positive feedback on the social media activates reward center in those teenage brains, while negative feedback or rejection trigger area associated with emotional pain and distress. And this makes sense evolutionary. As social creatures, we are wired to care deeply about our status and connection with our social groups. But the continuous exposure to social evaluation on social media can amplify these effects in a way that may not always be healthy for you. But the continuous exposure to social evaluation on social media can amplify this effect in a way that may not always be healthy. There is also some evidence that the heavy social media use in teens is associated with change in brain structure, particularly in area that involve in emotional processing and attention control. We are still learning about the long-term implication of this, but it is clear that the social media is shaping how young brain develop and process social information. One of the tricky things about the social media is that it can create unrealistic expectations and foster unhealthy social comparisons. We are continuously exposed to carefully curated highlight reel of other people's lives, which can make us feel inadequate or likely we are missing out. This can be especially impactful for the teens and young adults who are still figuring out their identities and place in the world. The pressure to present a perfect online image can lead to anxiety, depression, and body image issues. And cyberbullying or online harassment can have really severe impact on the mental health. It's important to remember that what we see on the social media is not always an accurate reflection of reality. So, what can we do to have a healthier relationship with the social media? A lot of it comes down to being more mindful and intentional about our use. It is also important to be aware of how social media makes us feel. If scrolling through your feed continuously leaves you feeling anxious, depressed, or inadequate, that is sign of something need to change. Maybe you need to curate your follow list or focus on more positive content or take more break from the social media altogether. Engaging with social media more actively rather than passively scrolling can also be beneficial. Actually, connecting and having meaningful interaction tend to be associated with more positive outcome than just consuming content. For parents, it's crucial to have open conversation with kids and teenagers about healthy social media use. Teaching critical thinking skill to help young people navigate online space and understand the reality behind what they are saying is so important. At the end of the day, the social media is a tool. Like any tool, it can be used in a way that are helpful or harmful. By understanding how these platforms affect our brain and behavior, we can make more informed choices about how we engage with them. So I find this whole area of research fascinating because it's such a new frontier. We are really the first generation to have our brains shaped by this digital technology from such a young age, and the platforms themselves are continuously evolving, so there is still so much to learn about the long-term impact. So what are your experiences with social media? Do you feel like it's had a positive or negative impact on your life overall? Have you tried taking break from it? And if so, what was that like? I'm really curious to hear everyone's thoughts. Thank you for the watching and see you in the next video.